let's get started. So thank you all for coming. Rochelle Lisner is a presentation coach expert, and she will introduce herself shortly. The format of this, as I had mentioned in my email, is we're going to try to make it as interactive as possible. We have 2 volunteers, but we have enough room for 4 or 5 to actually give their pitch. And the rest of the group, I'm going to, after each of those 2-minute pitches, and I will time them, we will do a 3-question poll for the rest of us. I guess I can't stop the person who is actually presenting from participating in the poll. So you can give yourself, all 5 stars if you like, or just or not participate. But the 3 questions are: we're going to rate you on a scale of 1 through 3, really easy, on clarity, how memorable the pitch was, and how actionable the pitch was. So we need to understand what your offer is or what you're trying to get across. It has to be something that sticks in our minds clearly, and we have to have something to do about it, right? Whether it's, send me a lead of this sort, et cetera, very specific, so we know exactly what we can do to follow up. I think that's going to be the most powerful pitch, but I may be wrong. So I'm going to sort of hand it over to Rochelle. I'm sure that most of what I said is more or less on point. But Rochelle, how much time do you think you'll start with just the sort of overview, or do you want to?
I'm just going to give myself 2 seconds now, and then I'd like to go straight into the pitches because I want to leave some time for evaluating the pitches, maybe rewrite a pitch. Just to give a little background, I do business consulting, and when I see my clients, the one thing I notice over and over and over again is they cannot, under any circumstance, speak about their business so that you're excited about it. And very often, most people speak about their business about, they're focused about themselves and not about the client. So with that, I also think that, especially in groups like this, in marketing, people spend every amount of time, money, and effort on their online brand. Great. Some people take it to the next level and they say, well, what's my personal brand in the eye of my company or in my industry? But I'm looking at it from the third perspective is, what's your verbal branding? How are you speaking about your company so that you're positioning yourself as the clear choice? So that's what I'd like us to kind of look into today. Does that make sense? We want to look at, like, what is it that's really what do I, so for example, if I'm going to be doing a lot of networking, which a lot of us do, so if I meet 3, let's just say, web designers, how is one going to stick out more than the other? If I meet 3 people that do graphic design, copy, how do I distinguish what am I going to remember about one versus another? So let's go into it. Who wants to volunteer to be the first one to give their pitch?
So Jason and Jake, 2 J's, volunteered in advance, but we would love to have 2 more as well. So I will time. And Jason, do you want to do your pitch first?
Sure.
Hold on. I'm going to switch to speaker view, and okay, take it away. Everybody else, if they would go on mute, that would be great.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Jason Cement. Let's start with the basics. I run a marketing agency called Get Visible. We have a team of 15 people with offices in Arizona and Los Angeles. We focus on 3 areas: building websites, growing web traffic, managing online reputations. So if you want to get more business and attract customers, we can help you by delivering top rankings on search engines, more visibility on social media channels, and profitable online advertising. But I want to share 3 reasons that make my marketing agency a very compelling choice. These 3 things are experience, process, and outcomes. So to start with, I've been doing online marketing for 23 years since graduating law school. As I stood in court in New York getting sworn in as a lawyer in '96, I decided instead to go into business on the web. I ran an e-commerce business for over a decade, was doing SEO before Google existed, and this speaks a lot to my experience that few others can claim. I took all these different processes that we developed for driving traffic for hundreds of clients and turned them into 2 books about SEO. Here's one of them. I need more clients. And the last and most important differentiator is the outcomes we deliver. And we've worked with companies like Westfield and Arbonne, and Marlon Brando. We've had clients for 10 years that choose to stay with us because we consistently deliver rankings, traffic, and leads. So here are some details of what I call back of the card. I've always had the drive of being an entrepreneur, going back even to 4th grade when I used to sell chewing gum in school. I was lucky in elementary school to be trained by a grandmaster in chess. I played violin in a youth orchestra in Miami, and I still love to eat Apple Jacks. So if you have a client or friend that needs a better website or more traffic, please let them know about Get Visible. If you'd like a free copy of my book that sells on Amazon, I'm happy to send you a PDF. Again, Jason Cement, the company is Get Visible. How was the time?
Way too. How much time are you giving people? That's way too long.
Well, you said 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'd go much shorter. Michael, you're muted.
So I gave him 2 minutes.
You don't need 2 minutes for a pitch. 2 minutes is not a pitch.
Well, I agree, but he said use 2 minutes.
So I could cut it back. What do you suggest I cut it back to? First of all, before we forget, and hopefully we won't forget, why don't we do a poll? So everybody, I'm going to launch this poll, and you can rate Jason's pitch on these 3 elements. And they're
How long was it, Michael?
It's anonymous. It was 7 seconds short of.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I could easily have cut out half, but I tried to fill up 2 minutes.
So does everybody see the poll, by the way?
I'm not voting.
Okay. And do you see the poll results too at the same time?
I don't think I'll see them unless I vote.
And I think you have to share after, like
After?
Yeah.
you close
Okay,
the poll.
6 out of 11. I don't see it for me to vote either, so I'm not going to vote because I don't see the poll for me.
Rochelle, I'm into 45 seconds.
Okay, I just think we've got to like change. It's really not. Really, a pitch is not 2 minutes.
Okay, it looks like 10 out of 11 voted, which is good. I guess I'm not considered somebody who can vote. And so I will end the polling. And here's the result. Do people see the results now? Share results. Okay. So people see the results now. So you got on clear somewhere between, I guess you got like between 2 and 3. They split 40%. Memorable, somewhat memorable, and then lastly, somewhat actionable.
Okay. Let's keep going, and then we're going to go into what I think. Now, I think for the next round, we've got 60, and I would almost like, to redo it in 60 seconds. Way too long.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it.
Not now. Let the other people go now.
Let the other people go. Okay, so
Not to, when you're doing it, like when you're just introducing yourself, if you're at an event or whatever, we don't go 2 minutes because there's dialogue. So that was really too long for what we're talking about. Next.
Okay, let's do it to a minute because this is also another format, at least the format that we do it in, where we don't have to go 2 minutes, obviously, but when we do our pitches in what is now the new norm, this is not.
That's different. If you're going to tailor it to, let's just say, around the table, like what you're doing, that's a little bit more. I don't call that a pitch. That's talking about your business. That's a little longer. That's going into detail. Okay, if that's the framework that you're using, I'll go with that.
Okay.
I'll course correct on that as well. Let's keep going then. I'll go.
Okay, let's go with that then. Jake, do you want to do the 2 minute version?
Nah, I'll be fine.
What do you want to do? The 1 minute version?
I don't even know if I got 1 minute. Let's see.
We'll do a 1 minute version.
I actually was misunderstanding pitch, and I brought my presentation.
No, verbal pitch.
Yeah. So this will be really interesting.
I'll give you up to 2 minutes, and if you stop before then, that's fine. So up to you, and take it away.
So have you guys been tired of being on Zoom and not actually being able to communicate with other people? What we do at Mingle is we're startup software. We make it so that you're looking at all the people on your Zoom screen and you can click on one individual and start a sub video with them and actually communicate. What we're doing is mimicking the effects of real world networking. So when you walk into a venue in the real world, what you're going to see is you're going to see individuals by themselves and clusters of groups of people together. That's what you would see on your screen as well. In the real world, you would walk up to either a group or an individual and you'd say hi. we're essentially replacing the walk-up with a click and allowing you to now network globally and creating more interaction and a free flow network within a Zoom style setting to make virtual networks way better. Anyway, I think that's it. And I probably way under a minute.
No, it's fine.
That was about a minute. Okay, so I will launch the next, am I still on mute? No, I will launch the next poll. Hold on, I can do this correctly. Stop sharing results and go to the next one, launch poll. Okay, same 3 questions.
By the way, is that a Zoom alternative? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm used to having my visual aids, so I totally missed asking everybody, telling everybody what I was looking for. So I have a feeling that is it actionable? Absolutely not.
That's okay.
It certainly is exciting, though.
Yeah, it's a really fun project to be working on, and coming up with the idea and going from idea to actual MVP is proving to be a fun ride.
But couldn't
Okay.
Zoom go ahead and just add that functionality?
What's that?
Couldn't Zoom just add that one-to-one functionality inside a meeting, like a micro breakout?
Yeah, it'd be really nice if they could, but not now that I have the patent on it.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So, all right, so it came across as somewhat clear. You got 7 out of 9 votes, somewhat clear. Evenly split across easily forgotten, somewhat memorable, and memorable, although the highest number was memorable. And you're right, you anticipated it being not actionable. 6 out of 9 said non-actionable and 3 said somewhat actionable. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So now we have volunteers. Raise your hand. Who would like to do a 2-minute pitch? This is a great opportunity to get some feedback from your peers and potentially from Rochelle. And you can have up to 2 minutes, no charge. Come on, somebody stand up here and.
I do it.
All right, Lynn. Okay, I'll give you, I will start your timer. I'll give you up to 2 minutes, at which point I'll mute you. I'll be really rude. I'll do what they did on the.
Oh, I'll be shorter than that. Don't worry. I have
Okay.
a 30-second pitch.
Ready?
Okay.
Go
yep.
for it.
Did you put your audience to sleep with your last presentations? Well, those days are over. I can help you build a more effective presentation, bringing you closer to that sales and leads that you want. My name is Ling, and I am a founder of Dex.com, DEKCS.com. My team includes marketers, builders, and wordsmiths who will create the presentations that will capture your audience and keep them engaged. We work with small business and boutique ad agencies. So if you need a deck, reach out to us at contact@dex.com, DEKCS.com.
Okay, that was like a 40-second pitch. That was good.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing with the polls. Okay, and I'm going to launch poll number 3. Go for it. Okay, it's coming in. 5 so far, 7, 8, 1 more. That should be it. Okay, so 10 out of 11 actually, because I guess Rochelle and I are whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not voting and Ling's not voting, but that's fine. End polling, share results. Okay, so came across as very clear. That's great. Somewhat memorable, 7 out of 10, and actionable, 6 out of the 10. Very good. Okay.
Advantage of going late.
You're learning from others.
I'm
You're
learning.
learning from others.
I'd like to take one more, because if not, I want to spend some time in sort of giving everybody some tips on how to course correct and what we can do to course correct in general. And then
Okay, does somebody else want to go?
be
Michael?
bold, be brave.
Well, I could go.
Okay,
Not totally prepared, but it'll give you lots to work with, right?
ready? Go for it.
Okay, so Are your employees more engaged and more interested in their fantasy football teams than in your company metrics and KPIs? My name is Michael Marzano, and my company Branded Aware has an approach to address that. And the idea is to turn your company KPIs and key metrics into a fantasy game that everyone in the workplace can play to create better engagement amongst the employees and better understanding of the key company analytics that will help drive a data-driven culture in your organization. So for more information, reach out to me or look for us at brandedaware.com.
Okay,
Good.
50 seconds, that's good. And I
50
will,
seconds. I don't know if it's good.
all right, let's see. I'm gonna launch number 4, launch polling. Okay, let's get those votes in. So far, we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. End polling, share results. You got between somewhat clear and very clear, so you're a little higher on somewhat clear, somewhat memorable, and actionable, mostly actionable. So that's great. Okay. I will stop sharing these results. And Rochelle, do you want to have one more, or do you want to just take it from
So
here?
I'd like to go into some some tips and tools, and then I'd like to course correct if somebody wants to really take their pitch and up level it. So let me just say like an overview of in general what everybody either does or doesn't do and what we can do better. You know, a lot of times when people start about their pitch, they're thinking, you know, one of the things I like that a lot of people did is they started with a question. So when you start with the question, you're drawing me in. So I just want you to think of a typical formula that I'd like to put on my little chart over here, is that there are 3 parts to a pitch. There's catch. You want to catch people's attention. Then the next thing is compel. You gotta, and then you need a call to action. So these are 3 things. Now, when you compel, I always say, "What's your story? Are you storytelling or boring telling?" And then the call is like, "What do you do if you don't tell somebody to do something? They do nothing." So these are the 3 steps to a formula. So when some people started out, when they started with a question, depending on the question, you caught my attention. So now I'm like ready to listen. So the key reason, the purpose of a pitch is A, to catch someone's attention. Number 2 is I want to know specifically what you do. I want to get a sense of how do you pull a rabbit out of a hat? Like, why you? What is extraordinary about you? That's what we talk about in the compel portion. And then it's always your call to action. So I just like to know that, because if I'm going to meet so many different people over an extended period of time, I'm not going to remember it. And I want to know, what is it that you do very specifically? Very often we talk in generalities. Very often a lot of companies speak in industry jargon, and that doesn't do anything for me. I'm not clear with what you do. The key is you've got to ask yourself, what problem do I solve? Now that's number 1. Number 2 is a pitch is not about you. So in general, and again, I'm speaking very general, a lot of people start off and say, you know, my name is John Smith. I'm with ABC Company, and I've been doing whatever it is that I'm doing for 30, 40 years, 80 years, whatever. And my response to that is I couldn't care less. You know, I don't know you enough to know who you are. You didn't draw me in yet. When somebody does something for an extended period of time, you have to be very careful on how you say that. Unless you tell me why that's important, your positioning is off. And let me tell you what I mean by that. When somebody tells me they're doing something for 25 years, I don't know what's extraordinary about that. So you could have been positioning yourself as old school, prehistoric. So you can just like indirectly, you're saying, you know, my name's Fred Flintstone. If I don't know and how do I know this? Because companies bring me in because they are prehistoric. They don't know how to change. They're working on their past laurels. They haven't done anything new and innovative since like 1980. So unless you tell me why that's important, don't tell me they're doing something for 25 years. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Where you located? I don't know. Unless you're in the building where I'm working and you're on the floor below me and I need you and I can go down and run into your office and you'll take care of something, you're wasting valuable time. So in terms of that, years and years and years ago, when you told somebody that you did something for 20 years, it used to create credibility. Today, it no longer does that. I will get your credibility based on a story that you tell me. If you tell me, how did you pull a rabbit out of a hat? That story is going to give me your credibility. Not that you've been in business for 30 years or 10 years or whatever. Because very rarely, if somebody's doing something for 10 years, they're in their groove. The difference between 10 and 12 and 14, not that much of a difference. And if it is, you got to tell me why. So I'll give you an example. If somebody says, you know what, I'm in business for 20 years, 25 years. I've seen up markets. I've seen down markets. I've seen markets that we cannot even articulate them. And I'm proud to say that I'm a business warrior right now. Okay. But if you're just using a number, assuming that it creates credibility, I'd like us all to think that that's no longer it. Next thing that I want you to think about, vocal variety and pacing. Vocal variety and pacing. The first person who spoke, what was it, Jason? One of the things, there's two things that I'd like to think about what he did. He gave us an enormous amount of information in a very short amount of time. And by doing that, he also spoke very, very, very quickly. I had a very hard time understanding what he was saying. I mean, I felt like, let's go back to a year, let's go back to, this is prehistoric. People used to have something called a record player. And if you put it on the wrong speed, like you couldn't even hear it. I just felt that when somebody puts a size 10 foot in a size 6 shoe, I can't hear it. It all blends. None of it stands out. So when we've got to get very clear, rarely do we have one pitch that what I call fits all fit, it accumulates everything. It encompasses everything. Very often we need separate pitches, either for a service that we have, either for a target market that we're going after, because their needs are different. What troubles them, the problem that you solve could be very different in different verticals. And I want to know the problem that you solve, because my wallet comes out when I recognize that you are an expert in solving the problem that's giving me an ulcer. Now, if you don't tell me your problem, I don't know. When people identify themselves from their title, that my name is, whatever, my name is John from ABC marketing firm, I don't get to see your level of expertise. You officially blended. And if I've met so many other people coming along the way, one does not stand out from the other. Now, does that make sense up until this point? So we really want to think about your pacing. Your pacing is key. Your vocal variety is key. And I want to know your problem. So with that in mind, let's start the way I'm suggesting people start a pitch. Let's just say, what is some problems? Who would we like to, Michael, do you want to work with me a little bit?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay. What are three problems? Give me some. What is a problem that that clients come to you for? What are problems that you solve?
Problems that I solve in my business?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the problems that I solve is people are having difficulty with their current programming staff. Or their team that they've outsourced their software development to. So that's one problem.
What's the problem with the team? What's the problem?
It could be they're no longer responsive. There's so many different problems that could arise. Lack of responsiveness. Lack of responsiveness is probably the biggest. Oftentimes it's a freelancer. They can't get in touch with them. They don't respond to their needs.
Okay, so notice what we're going from. We went from generic to, they have problems with their staff, to something very specific, a really specific thing. Non-responsive is huge. What's another problem that you solve?
somebody's got an idea, but they're not technical. And so they need somebody who can guide them in terms, and when I say an idea for a software product being a mobile application or an e-commerce product, and they really don't know where to go for the type of resources to develop that product.
And what's a third problem that you solve?
A third problem that I solve, let's see. So it's, I guess it could be they already have a system and they need to upgrade it. They need to refresh it. They need to replace it because it's obsolete. So they have something that's basically out of date and they need to upgrade it.
Okay, so let's just start with something like this offhand. Very often clients come to me because they really they suffer from they have the three following problems. Number one, the people they're working with are absolutely unresponsive. Number two, they have an idea, but they don't seem to have, they have an idea for an app or some sort of an online e-commerce site, but they don't have the technical support to put it into action. And the last thing is very often, we have some equipment that needs updating and they don't know where to go about it. Working with clients to solve these problems, let me tell you, is where I've done some of my best work. My name is Michael Bendit from service.
I like it.
Can you see how clear it is? I know what you do. Instead of just saying I'm a software developer, I get a clear idea of the problem that you solve. You told me three things. Very often clients come to me because they're losing their minds because their outsourced team is not responsive, let alone how to navigate time zones in either South Africa, Romania, or where, whatever. You can even joke with this.
Can you repeat that phrase you said of him, the introduction again?
Very often people come to me. I'm speaking for some Michael.
Yeah.
Very often clients come to me because they are losing their minds trying to deal with their outsourced team, their outsourced software team. They're absolutely unresponsive. They can't figure out the time zones. What time is it in Romania, Milan, wherever, Manila, South, and who can care about that? Not responsive. It's delaying their progress. It's a stall in the process of what they're doing. Working with that issue is, my name is Michael Dante, and working with that is really, I've done some of my best work. You can do up until three issues. If you can do one, if it's really a profound problem that most people have, you want to zero in on one thing, I would zero in on one thing. If it's enough of a problem and if it's a door opener, that leads to a lot more work. When we tell people too much, they don't hear any of it. They just can't hear it. So again, we can start with the three issues. Very often clients come to me because they have an outsourced team that is absolutely unresponsive. Now, other issues is they'd love to develop an app, but they don't have the technical ability to put it into, to execute on it. And the last thing is, let me tell you, we all have systems that they are pretty antiquated at this point. They need an upgrade. They need to be resuscitated. So Michael, my name is Michael Bendit from XYZ Company, and working with these issues is where I'm proud to say I do some of my best work. I know what you do. I know what your problem is. I know it's clear at the problem that you solve. So that's number one. Does that make sense? That's your catch. Now the compel is a little different. So the compel could be, and I'm just making this up, Michael. Fair?
Sure.
I'm making it up because I'm not, often I work with startups. Who do you work with in general? What kind of companies do you work with, Michael?
It can be startups or small companies typically.
Well, when you say small companies, listen, I don't know what small is. Revenue or amount of people? Is it companies that have maximum 30 people in it? Is it revenue up until?
Typically, up to 100, 200 people, up to $10 million in revenue.
Okay. My sweet spot is working with companies just about, up to 10 million. Normally, they don't have more than 100 people in the office. And they are struggling with having a team in place that can actually implement the software on time and on budget. on time and on budget, and they need to get something to market, or what's the consequence? Or their funding will be pulled out, or there's something. There's a consequence.
It could be their operations, are falling behind. They're inefficient without the systems, their operation systems.
Or I could say, work with small companies, and they all are desperate for more sales, but their infrastructure and their infrastructure can't support it. And if we don't put it in place, that opportunity of growth becomes, I use these words. You don't have to use it, Michael. The opportunity of growth becomes a hallucination. Now, what separates myself from God knows how many other software developings in the country, or I would also say either what separates my services or my sweet spot or my superpower is, let me tell you, when it comes to my superpower in this industry is what makes you different than a lot of others that you think of.
So I'm not a software developer.
Well,
I represent software development teams, which is a big difference.
okay.
So what's different about it is my job is to match your need to the team on my roster that has the right skill set at the right price, with the right time frame and the right available resources to get the job done.
My superpower is when it comes to technology, matchmaking technology professionals. That's my my superpower is matching technology professionals. Is it by price, by level of skill set, by time frame, so that this project will finally make it to the finish line.
Yeah.
It's got to make it to the finish line because I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in the past that they start everything, complete nothing. And they've burned through hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, if you have a software crisis, let's have a conversation. If you need some overseas talent integrated with local talent, let's have a conversation. And this way I know exactly who to call. If I have software that has to make it to the finish line, if I have a project that I need outside help, I don't have it internally, I know that he's the person that can work with it. Does that make sense?
That's great.
So I'd like to work with somebody else who started out earlier. Does anybody else like that we can work with so we can tighten it up? Jacob, are you up for it? Anybody else?
I'm down.
Okay, so let's start. What's the problem that you what's the problem that you solve?
We solve the problem of disengagement in Zoom or on video conferencing.
Okay, so it's video conferencing. What's the problem with that?
Well, disengagement is the #1 issue that network hosts have complained about, and event companies or marketers have complained about, is that people are disengaged when they're doing virtual events. So if you're
talking about virtual events, and you're not talking about let's just say offices where they have Zoom meetings and they have 30 people on it. We're talking about events that are a larger scale, correct?
Yeah, well, even those Zoom meetings, they still need engagement and collaboration, but that's not the main thing. No, it's virtual events. Let's do virtual. You could get even more specific and say virtual network events.
What do you mean by network events versus regular events?
Well, let's say you have a speaker, that's not really a networking event, so the feature that we offer doesn't really matter there. But for a networking event where you want to mingle with people and talk to one another, it does matter because you want that interaction happening.
Okay, so I've gone to a lot of virtual events. I 3-day boot camps, whatever they're calling them. I've gone to a lot of them, and they break people up in chat rooms or whatever. Mm-hmm. What's your superpower? So what when it comes to engagement? So what are you doing that enhances engagement?
We allow natural flow through those subrooms. So you can leave, you can come as you like, you can talk as long as you'd like, you can have as many people in your cluster as you'd like, and you can create your own clusters or your subrooms.
Who's you can? The
The
participant.
the participant.
The participant, not the host. Okay, so the problem that you're setting is, very often, the biggest, I would say that right now we're all pivoting to virtual conferences. Do you want to call it conferences?
Virtual events would probably be better than
Okay,
conferences.
virtual events. We're all pivoting to virtual events right now, and the number one problem that hosts are experiencing is a disengaged audience. Right? That's the
Yeah.
problem. Working with this issue or solving this issue or working with companies with this issue is where we're doing some of our best work right now. I'm clear on the issue that you're working with. Now, if I'm having an event with 500 people and I'm really concerned that it's going to go from 500 and it's going to drop to 200, problem. I want to know how that's an issue. So I want to know that you can solve that, then let's have a conversation. If I was hosting any kind of a large event, that's huge.
Yeah.
Zeroing in on that, this is the guy that can help with that. I don't care how let me just find that that's the problem. So right now we're pivoting for virtual events, and most, I don't know if it's hosts or what's the other word? Is it the hosts or the organizer?
Facilitator, organizer.
Most organizers, they're really concerned that they're losing half their audience. They do not know how to sustain engagement. Now, working with engagement right now, how to engage your audience is where we're proud to say we're doing some of our best work. My name is, and my company is. Can you see how clear that is?
Yeah, I like it.
Because you're working with event planners, event whatever. You're telling them we're virtual and now we got to get them, now you go into, that's your catch. I know what your problem you're solving. Now I want to know here, you're compelled, what's your story? So talk to me a little bit more.
About the story?
Yeah, who do you work with? You work with event planners, organizers, or what do they struggle with?
Well, we're actually the software, we're developing it. So we're not quite working with anybody yet. So how about we're a tenacious startup? And I don't know.
Who's your audience going to be?
Our audience will be networkers and facilitators and organizers.
Okay, so we're lining up right now to work. When are you looking to do this?
We're looking at Q1 launch of next year.
January, correct?
No, we'll be doing more March.
Okay, so I would say something like we're getting the bugs out and ready to launch in early March. And we'll be working with event planners, organizers, or whatever who are really frustrated that they start off with 500 people in an event and within a short amount of time they're down to 90. This does not hold well for them if they lose their sponsors, their audience. They can't do something. With disengagement, they'll lose their sponsors, and yet they won't have enough of an audience to upsell to make the event profitable. Our software is designed to, I don't know, whatever the hell it's designed to. Our software is unique. Don't use the word unique. Why don't we use the word unique?
I don't know. Why don't you use the word unique?
Unique is something called an unhearable word. It's used so over and over and over again that you're no longer unique.
Oh, so what do you use in its place?
Well, I don't know. Let me get the sentence. Where we stand out, our superpower is what we focus on specifically is.
Oh, okay.
What it is about you. When you say you're uniquely designed, just take it out and just say we're targeted for, we're focused on, we're zeroing in on. You got to say something like that, because anything what I call is common language, when you're unique, you're no longer unique.
How about a novel technology?
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. We've got a novel way of doing something. Love it.
Groundbreaking.
That could be, but that's a little, but I like novel. I like a novel way. Or you can say we've got a proprietary system that does whatever the heck it does. I like proprietary systems. It seems very narrow, and it also seems like you've gone through the trials and tribulations to get it to work. So we have a proprietor that will work with facilitators to make sure that those events are engaging, which will lead to sponsorship, which will lead to profitability. If you are hosting and if you are looking to host an event in 2021, let's start chatting now because I want you to be ready. You see how, do you think it's stronger? I'm just asking you.
No, it's absolutely stronger.
Let's get some show of hands. Does anybody else think that might be stronger? It's stronger. I get clear what you do. You've got to take that. You're working on the biggest problem right now when it comes to large events that are going to be hosted virtually. And that's huge. If I have this huge event and there's no engagement, so I'm not going to get sponsors. And let's just say I'm doing this event because I want to upsell something. I have an offer. But if everybody's going to be leaving the event, there's nobody to upsell to. And it's a very big expense, time, money, and effort to get this thing going. And if I'm not going to get a big profit at the end of it, doesn't pay. So anybody else want to, who else can I work with so that we can tighten something up? So anybody?
I rewrote mine, by the way.
Let's do it. Let's work. Please.
Okay. You got it. All right. Are you having?
1 second. I want you to look. There's 3 packs. The catch the content.
I know.
Okay, good.
Okay. I'll try it again. Are you having difficulty getting traction with your website or social media channels? Are you frustrated because you aren't getting enough people to visit your business online? Or if you actually get the visitors, they aren't buying what you're selling? Does it feel like whatever you are trying is too many questions, right? Well, finish it. It's the last question.
You lost me. You have 3 things, period. You went into like 7.
The only thing I was going to say is, does it feel, it's okay. I'll skip the last question. So you're saying it's too much to say to visit your business online, or if you actually get the visitors, they aren't buying. So how would you change it?
Tell me what you did. Read it to me. Read it back to me.
Are you having difficulty getting traction with your website? That was the first thing. And I added or social media channels, but I could take that out.
No, and then you said something after that.
Then afterwards it says, are you frustrated because you aren't getting enough people to visit your business online?
Okay.
Or, yeah.
It's 2 separate, it's too many. You either do the first one or the second one.
Well, I would just simply say, are you having difficulty getting traction with your website?
Yeah, done.
Right? Well, the next question would have been, do you feel like whatever you're trying is not working or it's costing too much? Because that's the real catch.
Well, that's not the catch. You have to combine it to the first thing. See, what you're doing is you're taking different issues and you're giving me too many things at once and I can't hear it.
Uh-huh.
And here's the thing, when we get bombarded, this is what you're doing it the wrong way. You're asking questions. One question is okay. More than one question, I feel like I'm being in, like I'm in court. Answer this question or else. Put your hand up. Do you promise to tell the whole truth or nothing? You can't do that. You can't bombard me with questions. One works, more than one doesn't.
Okay, but the only question I had is, and I think people here share the same thing, is getting traction with your website means a lot of things to people.
Can't go by that. You have to tell me the problem. See, what you're asking me a question, I wouldn't even do any of these questions. I would say, what is the problem that you solve? So you told me that traction, and what else did you solve that you solved?
Getting people to your website.
Go ahead.
And which leads to getting more leads and sales. Or growing your business, however you want to describe it. Which is the problem.
So it's leads. Well, you got to get clear because growing your business gets too broad.
Right.
I want it so tight that it's like a pair of Spanx. Okay, that's how tight it has to be. I don't want this open-ended. No, tight, tight. So clients come to me because they're really frustrated that they don't get traction. Clients come to me because they're really frustrated. Their website has no traction and they have to pray for any kind of leads or sales. So working with these issues is where I do some of my best work. My name is from XYZ company. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, what I had written, I was about to read that, is very often people come to me because they're losing their minds with their digital marketing efforts. You're making it better by saying what that means, which is,
I want to know, say clients come to me because they're losing their mind because their website gets no traffic.
right,
They haven't had a lead in God knows how long in sales. See, I use humor. You have to use your language.
yeah.
I would say something like, clients are losing their minds because their website gets no traffic. They haven't had a lead in God knows how long in sales. Is like a hallucination.
Right.
Working with these issues is where I do some of my, solving these issues and working with these issues is where I do some of my best work. My name is from XYZ company.
Right.
I want to know the problem that you solve.
I'm with you. Here's the last thing that I wrote, which went to your third part about the call to action. So I said,
in the middle. What did you say?
yeah, I'm saying, so in the middle is, so I said, my agency has experience with local businesses and nonprofits, as well as large notable brands like Westfield, Arbonne, and Jacoby and Myers. The question is, do I do that? Mention all those names.
Answer that, you can say, what did you say? We do, we work with non-for-profits, or what was the other one?
Look, I said local businesses, but I want to really say law firms. But the
Okay.
problem is I work in a wide variety. It's very hard.
No, you want to pigeon it really narrow.
Yeah.
The narrower you get, the better that you get. I want everyone to think about what's your chocolate and what's your vanilla. Who writes you a check?
Right.
We can do a lot of stuff, and I'm just going to go over here. This is your sweet spot. This is where you get most of your business. This is the one that pays your bills. Now, occasionally you'll get a very high-end client that we say, glory, glory, hallelujah, but that doesn't pay your bills.
Right.
Over here, you do what I call the schlepperoo work as a courtesy for somebody.
Fair enough.
I want you to focus on what pays your bills. You can say, we love working with non-for-profits, and very often we have a side vertical with law firms. We do exceptional work with law firms. But what do they worry about? They are concerned about what?
Clients, cases. Right.
They're concerned about, non-for-profits are different. Non-for-profits are concerned about donors.
Right.
That's why you don't combine the two.
Okay, fair enough. So I won't do that. And here's the last thing that I wrote, which is, we are known for turning market laggers into market leaders.
Okay.
A little generic, but it's got the
market what? Market laggers?
Laggers.
Okay.
Okay. And
so what's your sweet spot? What's great about you? Our call to fame is,
here it comes. I wrote a best-selling book on digital marketing, which is called I Need More Clients. Instead of buying it, send me an email and I'll send you a free copy.
Great.
Okay. That's it.
All right. I think we got to wrap up. We only got 3 minutes left.
I feel like I had surgery.
I just want one thing. Was this helpful?
I'm actually going to take a poll. I have a poll. All right. So the last poll is webinar rating. Okay.
I don't know if it was helpful
it's anonymous.
It's hard to put a size 10 foot in a size 6 shoe.
So we have 8 people, and I will share
on this because I'll vote yes.
Of course. And I'm not going to vote either because I sponsored it, so to speak.
Stupendous.
All right.
Again, we can do this. Again, if you want to take this further, let's have a conversation. If you feel that your verbal branding can really be enhanced, please reach out to me.
So you got 71% excellent, 29% good, and poor, below average, and average got 0. So I think people found it very helpful. I want to thank you, Rochelle, for doing this.